Hey, friends. This is Martine Williams, and I am obsessed with all things Mompreneur Life and helping you to remix your priorities, your habits, your mindsets, and yes, even your relationships so that you can build a successful business without losing yourself in the process. I'm also obsessed with the color turquoise and lyrics of the 80s and 90s, but that's beside the point. Girlfriend, you don't have to hustle 24/7, 365 and continue to sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your sanity to be a successful mompreneur. As a small town girl living in a lonely world to a six-figure mompreneur, I am here to teach you how. There is a better way, and this podcast is your one-stop shop for all of the how-tos, the encouragement, the life hacks, the success tips, and of course, a little side of tough love. This is the Mompreneur Life Remixed Podcast. So let's do this. Welcome back, friends, to the Mompreneur Life Remixed Podcast. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and today you get just me. And I want to wish you a happy October. Cannot believe we're already in the fourth quarter of this year. And today's episode is going to be, how do I want to describe this? Like an inside look into my brain and how I think, some really eye-opening things I have discovered over the last, I would say, 30 days about my thinking and about myself. And so this is going to be a pretty vulnerable and open book podcast. And the reason that I felt led to do this actually came from a conversation with one of my very best friends who we've been friends since first grade. And I was kind of sharing with her some things that I was learning. And she was just like, that is so powerful. And sometimes I think we can have these breakthroughs, these personal breakthroughs, or these ahas, however you want to label them. And in your own mind, you think it's not that big of a deal, or this is just what I've always done, when honestly, those things are intended for you to also share. Maybe not everything. I'm not going to share all of what's going on inside my brain. Believe me, nobody wants to know that. But the things that could be helpful for you as you work through your fourth quarter goals. And I want you to be thinking about, what are your thoughts on those goals? What were your thoughts maybe on the goals that you've had up until now? And maybe your goals haven't changed for this fourth quarter, but maybe they do need to change. And maybe the first thing that needs to change is your belief about those goals. And so we're going to talk a lot about thoughts today. We're going to talk a lot about our beliefs, our feelings. And y'all, you know that the Lord has had me on a journey with working on my feelings and emotions. And if you remember, gosh, I guess it's been almost 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was after I launched the podcast. But anyway, when I injured my knee, I know I've talked about this before, in a snowboarding accident. And I really had to go through some thought work and some feelings work. And I was feeling emotions that I didn't want to feel. Like I just wanted to just pick myself up and just move on. And the Lord was really intentional about, nope, you're going to sit in this. I need you to feel these emotions that you're feeling right now and redefine emotion. So for me back then, my definition of emotion was that it was drama. And anyone that showed, in my head, in my mind, unrealistic emotion was just being a drama queen or a drama king. And honestly, I can remember even feeling that way towards my youngest, because he definitely is more of an emotional child than my firstborn. And I thought, he's just being dramatic. And when I had this realization that he's just showing emotion, and I really started to sit back and think, okay, that was unfair. And even other people I've been in interactions with, like, why did I categorize it, a feeling and emotion, as drama? And so did a lot of work on that, reframed it, realized now that, emotions aren't good or bad. They just are, and they are not drama anymore. So here I am thinking, check, done that, worked through that. And in the last, I would say, like I said, 30 days or maybe a little bit more, this topic has come up again. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I didn't learn my lesson, or I didn't learn exactly everything I needed to learn, 2 years ago about emotions. So here the Lord is taking me through this again. So I did my episode on my 100th episode. I talked about 100 days, right? Like the power of 100. So that could be 100 days of going to the gym, 100 days of hydration. It could be, whatever you choose. And I hope that some of you have done that. So for me, I decided to do 100 days of self-coaching. And if you're listening right now, you're probably thinking, well, duh, you probably do self-coaching all the time. And while I would say that I do, you've heard me say I protect my mindset fiercely. I protect what goes in. I protect whether that's through listening, through people I am around, movies I watch, music I listen to, books I read. I mean, I'm pretty intentional about bringing positivity into my mindset. But self-coaching, I'm learning, is a different beast. And it's been super eye-opening and helpful for me to be intentional about every day sitting with myself and sitting with the thoughts that I'm having, the actions that I'm taking, the feelings that I have, like all of the things that I'm going to describe to you and kind of explain to you in just a few minutes, but being intentional about asking myself, because that's what coaching is, right? When I coach my clients, I'm asking them lots of questions, right? To help them to identify the areas where they're doing really well and areas where we need, opportunity for growth. And so that's the difference in like mentoring. Mentoring is like you tell them what to do type of thing. And there are those moments in my coaching with my clients, but a lot of times it's helping you to become more aware so that you can take the right actions based on what you're now aware of. And so I've been taking that same and doing it with myself. And so I thought I would just kind of like open up my brain and kind of share with you what that process has looked like for me and what I am using. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is disbelief and action. Disbelief plus action doesn't equal results. And this was something that my coach shared with me, not me personally, but in our program. And it really just got me thinking, okay, because a lot of times that's our default, right? We just go into action. And maybe that's where you've been these last, first, second, and third quarter, just acting, and taking action. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be taking massive action, but if you're taking action from a place of disbelief, then it's not going to equal the results that you're looking for. So I really want you to think about that as you're moving into this fourth quarter. Are you losing the race before they've even, started? Because you're telling yourself that's not possible, or that'll never happen for me, or, that's only for those people, right? Those people that have, 10,000 followers or have, from a mom's perspective, have all the help in the world, with a nanny and like whatever it is that you're looking into your fourth quarter goals with. If you have disbelief, you can be taking lots of action, but you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So I really want you to check your beliefs as you move into fourth quarter and see how you show up differently in that action, right? It's kind of like going into your New Year's resolutions, right? If you go in with that, those first 30 days, you're super excited because you believe that this is going to be the time that you make this change, right? But then those beliefs start changing as the feelings start changing, your thoughts are changing, and so you don't get the results. So you can start out super excited and full belief that this is going to happen. But once that belief shifts, you can still be taking the same actions, but how you show up to the gym is probably like, maybe I'll, do 30 minutes today as opposed to my full hour. Or you start not wanting to go to the gym, or you start trying to look for excuses and reasons why you shouldn't. It goes back to your beliefs and your thoughts. So one of the tools that we use in coaching, some of you may be familiar with this. This was actually my first time experiencing the model as a tool in coaching. I would say that I kind of, maybe by default, because I do a lot of mindset work, truly believe in thoughts, but I never had like the layout or this is a thing type of, approach. I just thought this is just how I choose to think. And so it was kind of cool to see, no, this is actually a way that people coach it's called the model. And it's a tool that helps individuals identify their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions in any given situation. It's a powerful tool because it's a way to gain clarity and understanding about the way we think and we act. And it can be used to create positive change in your life and in my life. And the basic premise is that your thoughts produce your feelings fuel your actions, and your actions are creating your results. But it all goes back to your thoughts. So I'm going to describe to you just a little bit how you would work through this, just so you can understand. So the first step is to identify the circumstance that you want to work on. This could be a particular event. It could be a recurring pattern of behavior. They're not good or bad. They're always neutral. But once you have identified the circumstance, the next step is to write down your thoughts about it, all your thoughts about it. And this is the work that most people don't do. Even I am learning through the self-coaching. Like I haven't really done some digging, into what are the actual thoughts that are driving my feelings, that are driving my behaviors. So it starts with the thought, and you have to write them all down, and you have to not shame yourself for the thoughts that you're thinking. Just be aware of what those thoughts are. That's the first step. And, thoughts are beliefs or judgments that you have about the circumstance. Thoughts are sentences in your head. Your thoughts about any circumstance make it amazing or they make it terrible. Whatever you're telling yourself, whatever thought you're having around your business, around being a mom, around being a mompreneur, around being a friend, around being someone who's working on their health, whatever thoughts or sentences you have in your head about a circumstance can make it amazing or make it terrible. The circumstance itself is neutral, but what you think about that circumstance is what makes it amazing or terrible. And that is super powerful to know and to really believe, because if you believe that, then just changing your thoughts can change everything for you. Choosing to think and believe something else can change everything for you. The next step is to identify the feelings that those thoughts create. This could be anger, frustration, sadness, or any other emotion. So I want you to think of like one word when you think of your emotion. It's important to acknowledge and accept these feelings without judgment. Again, I think a lot of times we don't do this work because we start judging ourselves and shaming ourselves for why we think the things we think or the feelings that we're feeling. We shouldn't feel this way. We shouldn't think that way. And so we just don't do the work to overcome those and to create new ones. Understanding your thoughts cause your feelings is how we learn how to feel better without changing our circumstance. I want you to hear that. When you understand your thoughts are causing your feelings, it's how you learn to feel better without changing your circumstance, right? It's like the circumstance could be your business isn't growing as fast as you would like it to be. That's a neutral. Somebody else might be looking at your business and thinking, wow, it's going really great. Someone else might be thinking completely different. It's their thought about that circumstance. It's your thought about that circumstance is what's going to bring a feeling, and that's going to change your outcome. You've heard me talk about E plus R equals O. So event plus your response to that event equals the outcome. The model is similar to that, except response is, your thoughts and your feelings. So we have to make sure we're looking at both of those things so that you can change or feel a certain way, even though your circumstance doesn't change. I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes, but I think that's super powerful for you to know that you can learn to feel better without changing your circumstance. You can have control over those thoughts and emotions so that you can be more powerful in that circumstance. Hey, friend. So you have been trying to make some shifts this year. Maybe you set some resolutions and you're just feeling stuck. You don't feel like you're making progress, or you're just not sure what to do. And you've heard me say this before, but being stuck is a mindset, not a position. And this is where a coach comes in to support you. Because here's what I know to be true about you, friend. If you could have done it alone, you would have already done it, period. And as a life coach and a certified PDP professional, I specialize in using a research-based personality and performance survey called the ProScan to illuminate how your unique personality and natural strengths, your work and life environments are influencing real-time performance. So here's what you need to do. Go to the link in the show notes and book your free clarity call to learn more about how I can support you in your goals. I can't wait to illuminate your strengths, cultivate your confidence, and elevate your life. So once you've identified your thoughts and your feelings, the next step is to identify the actions that are resulting from them. These could be behaviors such as avoidance, procrastination, or lashing out. They could be positive actions. They are what you do what you don't do or react to. If you're not taking action and you're wondering why not, ask yourself what feeling that you're having right before you want to take action. And there's many things you could think about with this. It could be in your business, I want to go live more. What is the feeling you have right before you go live? Is it nervousness? Is it this isn't worth it? If your thoughts are this isn't worth it, then of course you're going to be feeling not wanting to do this, right? You're going to be feeling frustrated. When you're in a place of frustration, you probably don't take as much action. So again, if you're not taking action and wondering why not, ask yourself what feeling you have right before you want to take action. Then work backward to identify the thought that is bringing that emotion to the front. Because remember, your thoughts are what fuel your emotions, and your emotions and your feelings are what your actions are created from. So next is results. So those are the consequences or outcomes of our actions, inactions, or reactions. Most of us, I would say, we go to work on the actions, right? Without investigating the thoughts and the feelings behind those actions or inactions. So this is the work, again, most people don't do. This is the work that even though I have done a ton of work to protect my mindset and make sure positivity is coming in, it still requires me to think about what I'm thinking about, right? And what those thoughts are making me feel and what those feelings are fueling as far as my actions, because that is what brings your results. So now that we have identified the thoughts, right? We have our circumstance, you have your thoughts, you have your feelings, you have your actions, and you know what your results are from all of that. It's time to challenge your thoughts. Ask yourself, is there evidence to support your beliefs? Like, are there other ways of looking at the situation? Are there other thoughts that you could have about this circumstance? And this is a really key question. What would happen if you held a different belief about that circumstance? What would be possible if you held a different thought about your fourth quarter goals? What would be possible, or what would happen differently if you had a new belief around your marriage, around the wife that you are, the mom that you are? So once you've challenged your thoughts, it's time to create new thoughts that are more helpful and supportive. And these new thoughts should be based on taking positive action. And your thoughts will only lead to your results if you actually believe the thought to be true. So this goes back to a lot of times we try to this is a new thought and I'm just going to think this. If you don't believe it to be true, then it's not going to lead to the actions and the results that you want, right? It's still going to have this layer of doubt in there. So if you repeat a thought that you don't believe, nothing will change. You could take one of my mantras. If you don't believe my mantras, and you just print off my, mantras that motivate that I have on my website or on Instagram, and you download them, I'm just going to start thinking these things, but you don't actually believe them, nothing is going to change. So a lot of times we have to create kind of a bridge thought that takes you from the negative thought to a neutral thought and then to a positive thought to make real change to the one that you can believe, like the more positive one. Does that make sense? So it may be, you're thinking nothing is going to change. Maybe that's a thought that you have. And if that's a thought you have, then it's invoking an emotion, right, in you that's fueling an action and giving you a result. So maybe the bridge thought is, it's possible this could work. So it's not saying this is absolutely going to work, because you may not believe that yet, but you could believe it's possible that this could work. And if you believe it's possible, how do you feel? So I hope you're starting to see this. And maybe some of you, again, you've done this work and you've seen for yourself how powerful it is. And if you have, I'd love for you to come over to Instagram and share some of your thoughts with me. But you can learn to master your thoughts and create the life that you want. It's a powerful tool. It can help you understand your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And it's a daily thing for me right now, and probably will be a daily discipline that I add, to my daily disciplines. So my daily disciplines are, my prayer time in the morning, my exercise in the morning. I do journal, but I don't journal. Like, I have a separate journal that I'm doing just for like my devotional time, like what I write in my devotion. But I have a new journal that is just for self-coaching through my thoughts. And I have it right here in front of me. And there's a lot of thoughts in there that I've been working through. And some of them I'm going to share with you in just a few minutes. But I really challenge you, if this is speaking to you and you're like, wow, okay, I didn't realize maybe some of the thoughts that you're having, just take a circumstance that you're going through right now, whatever it is. Maybe it's towards your goals for fourth quarter, and just dump out all the thoughts you're having around it. Don't judge them. It's harder to work through your thoughts if you're judging them. Because a lot of times if we're judging them, we usually just push away the thought, right? We don't actually dive into the emotion, and we just kind of avoid it. And so I want you to think about this as a way to learn to coach yourself through difficult situations. It could be business, it could be personal, but this can really help you to coach yourself through difficult situations. By identifying your negative beliefs, right, and challenging them, you can learn to approach situations with a more positive mindset. This can help you feel more control of your thoughts and emotions and can lead to a more fulfilling life. Remember, it takes practice. I'm still learning how to use this for myself and have lots of questions. And I'm thankful I have, a coach that can help me work through this and can kind of still see my blind spots, even when I'm like, oh, this is very clear. These are my thoughts. These are my emotions. And they still are able to see things that I don't, which is why it's powerful to have a coach and why I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not doing myself. This work that I'm doing is making me a better coach. I believe that with my whole heart. It's making me a better wife. It's making me a better mom. And I want that same thing for you. Especially, I know as ambitious mompreneurs, again, we go to the action. And then when it doesn't work, we have this negative emotion or negative feeling or negative thought, and we don't actually investigate where that's coming from and work through this process. It is a process and it is working. And I challenge you to take that. So just some things I want you to think about. Don't judge your thoughts and your emotions. It just really does make it harder to work through it. Just be honest and put it out there. One thing that was said last week was be in an allowance energy, like really allowing myself to feel a negative emotion, but don't allow it to control my behavior, right? So I can acknowledge, hey, fear's here or doubt's here. And the analogy they gave in our group was of a screaming toddler, right? Let's just say your doubt is a screaming toddler. You're not going to let your screaming toddler drive your car, right? You can safely buckle that toddler of doubt, of fear, of disappointment in your back seat. They're still going to have to run errands with you, but you're going to finish out what you started your day with, right? And I know my moms understand this. There have been so many times when my kids were younger where I'm like, we still got errands to run. So you're just going to have to sit in the back seat, buckled in safely and go along for the ride, right? So it can and will ride with you, your doubts, your fears, whatever negative emotion is coming up, but you don't need to put it in the driver's seat. You can still work towards your fourth quarter goals with some of these emotions. One of the things I tell my clients is which thought, because there's, we have over 60,000 thoughts on any given day and 90% of them are negative. So the negative ones are still going to be there, but which one do you want to give more airtime to? The positive or the negative thought? When you choose the negative thought, that's going to evoke a certain emotion in you, which is going to dictate your actions and your results and vice versa. So you can do your business, you can move through your goals and try to accomplish amazing things with doubt and fear and disappointment. You can. They're just not driving your behavior, right? So acknowledge and allow yourself to feel those things. Don't push them aside or bury them, I guess. Investigate them, but just say, you know what? I see you. I acknowledge you. You're in the back seat, but you're not driving my actions today. You might be there, but you're not driving. You can choose to think something else so that you feel something else. And if we're willing to feel anything, we're willing to do anything. If you're willing to feel disappointed and still grow your business, then you can do anything to grow your business. If you're willing to feel doubt, if you're willing to feel fear, if you're willing to feel some of those emotions and not push them aside, then you'll be willing to do anything. Sometimes we avoid, right? We want to avoid that. This is me. Avoid that negative emotion. So there's certain things we just don't do because we know it's going to bring that emotion on, right? The difficult conversation, maybe going live for the first time or revisiting your email list after, you haven't been very active in there or your Facebook group, whatever it is for you. We avoid those behaviors because we don't want to feel that negative emotion that comes with it. And what I'm saying is if you're willing to feel that and do it anyway, then you're going to see progress on your goals. It's not driving your behavior, but it's still there. So some examples of thoughts that I have picked up on for some of my clients recently is, and I want you to think about, if this is your thought, I want you to think about what emotion comes up for you. Making money is bad. This is a real thought of a client. Making money is selfish. People with money have more problems. These are some thoughts I have helped my clients, or even just on clarity calls with consults that maybe haven't become clients yet. These are some of the thoughts they've had. And then they don't realize that that thought is creating a self-sabotage of success in their business. Because if your belief is, your thought is money is bad, having money is bad, then why would you go to work making more money? Or if you believe that making money is selfish, why would you do anything to grow your business? Because it makes you feel selfish. Do you see that connection? And this could be about any thought, but those just some thoughts that have come up for some of my clients. And so I want you to think about this question. What do you need to think, feel, and do to accomplish your goals, your fourth quarter goals? What do you need to think? What do you need to feel? And what do you need to do to accomplish your fourth quarter goals? You probably have already gotten the list of, that was not good grammar. You probably already have worked through your to-do list, right? We're really good at making our to-do list, but I also want you to do the work on what do you need to think and what do you need to feel to do the things to accomplish your goal? Are you resisting or avoiding certain feelings? How often are you pretending that you're okay, not feeling the negative emotion, not allowing yourself to feel that negative emotion? I'm fine, I'm good. And what do you make negative emotions mean? It was a question that I've been working through myself as I have been diving into this. Like, what do I make negative emotions mean? What do I make them mean about me? What do I make them say about me? Instead of just allowing them to be there. And it's, again, just really interesting how the Lord just is bringing this back up. And I'll end with kind of sharing with you a huge aha I had. And this is the one I was sharing with my friend that really kind of brought this podcast episode to light was, as I was working through, like, am I avoiding certain feelings? Like, am I being an avoider? Am I resisting emotion? Because a couple of things that I was realizing is that I was having a hard time feeling proud. If I had to give a one emotion that I was working through, is I was having a hard time feeling proud of myself. And for numerous things, but just, I think because I work so hard, I know there's always room for improvement, right? And there's always room for growth. I had a belief that, and I'm still working through it, but just, it's hard to be like allowing myself to feel proud for the progress, right, that I've made. And y'all hear me talk about this all the time. That's one of my frameworks that I use in my framework is progress over perfection. So I realized that there was some of that slipping in to my thought life was, I'm not there yet, in quotes. So how can I be proud? And so I had to work through figuring out, okay, how do I define success right now? Like, what are my thoughts on success right now that I could have the feeling of, of being proud? And so as I was working through all this, and when I say like tears were flowing like nobody's business, just really being aware, like, oh my goodness, am I resisting emotion again? Like, am I going back to where I was 2 years ago with my knee injury and just wanting to like move past it? And what I realized that I think is super powerful is, and that I can say with confidence, I am proud of, is that it's not that I pretend to feel emotion or that I avoid emotion. It takes a lot to make me upset. It takes a lot to make me feel a negative emotion. And the reason that is because I have done so much work on my thought life. I have done so much work on my mindset and keeping it positive. So if I truly believe, and I do, that our thoughts dictate our feelings, I probably don't feel as many negative emotions because of the work that I have done and continue to do on my thoughts and on my mindset. And when I came to that realization, which again, it took me like 3 or 4 days of self-coaching to kind of get to that point, I'm like, I really don't think I'm avoiding, but I'm open to it if I am. I realized that it just takes a lot for me to get there because I spend so much time keeping my mind thinking good thoughts, positive thoughts that I truly believe, which again evokes positive emotion, right? So at first I was beating myself up and thinking, gosh, I'm resisting again. I'm doing all these things. And the more I did self-coaching on this, I realized that no, it's just that I've done so much work over the years to remain positive in all circumstances. And because of my faith, and I do believe that God works all things out for his good and for my good and his glory, like I'm just able to default to that, if that makes sense. And it's a muscle that has been activated over and over and over again. It's a muscle that I work really, really hard on to keep it strong and to keep it positive. But when I get to my limit, and we all have them, right? Or I get to the place where I can't think a positive thought about a circumstance, I do allow myself to feel it. I do allow myself to feel sad or disappointed. But having this awareness has helped me to realize I need to sit in it maybe a little bit longer, because a thought I was having about anytime a negative emotion would come up, it's like, this is not productive. I need to just feel it and move on because I want to stay positive, right? That's where my mind always wants to be. But there is some productivity, right? Our emotions are messengers. And if you choose to think of them in that way, which is a new thought for me, then I'm willing to allow more time on those emotions. And I just know that when I do reach that point, I do allow myself to feel it. It just takes a lot for me to get there. And that's helpful information for me because I'm no longer shaming myself that I'm a non-emotional person, because that's not true. I knew that, but I just couldn't quite pinpoint these things until I went through the self-coaching. So I hope this makes sense for you. I hope that it was encouraging to you. I hope that it gave you some things to really think about in your thought life, and to really think about each circumstance through that lens of your thoughts are what bring upon the emotions, and then your emotions are what fuel your action or inaction, right? Or your reactions to things. And that brings on, your result that you're going to get. Really think about your circumstances in that way and go back to, what are your thoughts on everything? Don't shame yourself. Don't blame. Just be honest and do some self-coaching. And if this seems like, yes, I want to do this, but I need help, because just as I've shared with you, being vulnerable, like I've been getting coached on this because I want to work through this. I want to be as healthy in my thought life, and I want to be able to understand fully that my thoughts really are dictating my feelings and my actions and my results. And I do believe that, but this investigation work on myself has been really eye-opening to me. And like I say, I can say now that I am proud of the work that I've done. And yes, there's still more work to be done on my personal and professional journey, but to be able to define and say, I'm proud of the progress that I've made is, it took me a little bit to kind of get there and be like, oh, I can be proud. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And I hope that you can grasp onto that for yourself too, as you look forward to your fourth quarter, to really go back and look at the progress that you've made. And if you haven't made progress, which I think you probably have, you're just not taking the time to actually go and look at it. Even little teeny tiny pieces of progress will help motivate you to keep going. But if you're not, what are your thoughts? What are the things that you're telling yourself? What do you have on repeat? Right? The story that just keeps going around and around and around in your head about your circumstance that you might need to change. You might need to just sit with it for a little bit. Allow yourself to feel disappointed or fear or whatever the emotion is for you. And again, if you need help kind of working through this, I'm here for you. I'm working through this same stuff, and I may be just a few steps ahead of you. And for some, I may be a lot more, further along than you, but I'm here to help you with that. So I would really, really encourage you to get on a clarity call, because sometimes the clarity call is super powerful. Like I had one the other day, and she had like a list of thoughts that we had discovered. And then like even more that she discovered after our clarity call that she's working through. So I really encourage you to treat yourself to that clarity call. It's completely free. It's 1 hour, you and I together, and help you get clarity around your thoughts and what your next steps are. And maybe that's us working together to work through those. And maybe it's not. And I'm okay with that. My goal is to help you finish strong, finish 2023 strong. And what does that mean for you? What does that look like for you? And what are your thoughts around that? And to get you moving forward, taking your next step, as little or as big as it needs to be. What is your next step? And that's what I do in my coaching. And that's what I do on my clarity calls. So, all right. I feel like that was really deep. I made it through without any tears, but believe you me, there were many tears going through this self-coaching to get to where I'm at today, and to be able to share it with clarity and hopefully clear enough for you to understand the journey that I've been on. So feel free to share this episode if this spoke to you. I'm sure there's someone else who needs to be working on their thought life as well, and maybe needs some guidance and direction. Like, how do you actually do that? A group that I'm in, they were talking about journaling, and the simplest thing for me with journaling and getting on board with journaling was having journal prompts, right? The looking at a blank page to me is so intimidating. Even when I'm trying to write content, like if I can just get the first sentence down, then I can write a book. But it's like getting started. And if you need help with that, you need just taking your next steps. Like these are the things that I love to do. And I'm here to help you do that. So you can go to my website and book a free clarity call at martinewilliams.com. We'll put a link in the show notes for you to do that. But again, feel free to share this episode. Send me a DM and let me know what your thoughts are. Again, I don't think I've opened up my brain in this way to you on the podcast. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on it. And if y'all like it and you want me to share more of what I'm working on personally and inside my brain, I'm happy to do that, especially if I know it's going to benefit you. All right. We have lots of amazing Turquoise Talk guests coming up this month. One that all of them I'm excited for. One of them in particular is someone that I have looked up to, that I have known for a long time. You may have heard me talk about her on Instagram, but I didn't reveal who it was. And so I'm super excited for her podcast episode to air. I believe it's on the 12th of October. So you can look forward to that one next week. All right. Until then, y'all know I'm believing in you always, and I will catch you on the next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends, for this week's episode of the Mompreneur Life Remixed Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for following the show. It means so much to me. And listen, friend, sharing is caring. So if you loved this episode and thought of some fellow mompreneurs who could benefit, send them the link. Share this episode or take a screenshot and head on over to Instagram and share and tag me at Martine31Williams. We are connected on Instagram, right? It's where you will get all the fun behind the scenes of my life and business as a mompreneur. Until next time, know that I am believing in you always.